The cold stars shone above the small human outpost on the edge of the Orpheus system. Silence filled the base, broken only by the low hum of machines and the occasional chatter from the control room. Lieutenant Mara Hayes walked quickly down the narrow corridors, her boots echoing against the metal floors. She paused for a moment, staring out of a reinforced window at the blackness of space. Somewhere out there, danger waited. She could feel it. Suddenly, the alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. Mara's heart jumped as she ran toward the control center. The screens were alive with movement, hundreds of alien ships, sleek and dark, descending on the outpost. The Xylars had arrived. They moved like shadows, silent and deadly. Mara's mind raced. There was no warning, no time to prepare. "All personnel to battle stations," the commander shouted. His voice was calm but tense. The soldiers ran to their posts, weapons in hand, eyes wide with fear. Outside, the alien ships fired beams of bright energy. Explosions rocked the outpost, sending plumes of smoke and fire into the artificial sky dome. Mara ducked behind a wall as the floor trembled beneath her. She could see her friends struggling, trying to help the injured. Sparks flew from broken consoles, and the lights flickered. Communication lines were breaking down. Mara grabbed a portable radio. "Control. We're under attack. Request immediate support." Static answered her. Then a distorted voice, "Earth. We copy, situation critical." The Xylars were precise, almost surgical in their attack. Mara noticed that they ignored some areas, focusing on the command center and the communications hub. Something about it seemed deliberate, almost like they were hunting something specific. She relayed the observation to the commander. "They know we have a new sensor array," he said grimly. "They want it gone. Everything else is just noise." Mara swallowed hard. The humans were outmatched, but she refused to give in to fear. She sprinted to the communications hub, dodging debris and fire. The aliens' ships hovered above, like predators circling prey. Mara's hands shook as she typed in the emergency transmission code. She had to send a warning to Earth before the outpost was completely destroyed. Outside, the battle continued. One of the alien fighters swooped low, firing energy beams that tore through the outer walls. A section of the habitat module collapsed. Mara screamed as she saw her colleague, Ensign Taro, caught under falling metal. She ran to him, lifting the debris with all her strength. He gasped, eyes wide, but alive. "Come on. We have to get the signal out," Mara urged. They reached the communication console just as another alien fighter slammed into the roof. Sparks flew, and the floor shuddered violently. Mara gritted her teeth and pressed the final sequence. The transmission began, a digital scream sent across light years to Earth. "This is Outpost Orpheus. We are under attack. The Xylars, they are." The signal cut out, swallowed by interference from the alien ships. Mara cursed under her breath. She tried again, each attempt met with static and disruption. Outside, the alien fleet was relentless, moving with deadly coordination. The commander shouted orders, but it was chaos. Some soldiers tried to fight back with turrets and blasters, but the Xylar's shields were too strong. One by one, turrets were destroyed. Mara could hear the screams, the panic, the explosions. But amid the terror, she felt a spark of determination. Humans might be weaker in technology, but they had something the Xylars could not understand: heart, courage, and the will to survive. Mara looked at the stars again. Far away, Earth waited, unaware of the attack. She knew she had to get the warning through, no matter the cost. She grabbed a portable beacon, small but powerful, and ran to the outer perimeter. The alien fighters were closing in, but she ducked and rolled, narrowly avoiding beams of energy that scorched the ground. Reaching the edge of the outpost, she activated the beacon. It sent a burst of encrypted signals toward Earth, faster than light. Mara could only hope it reached its destination in time. Behind her, the outpost was burning, a beautiful but fragile human home now under siege. As she turned, she saw the Xylar's landing troops, their forms tall and armored, moving with deadly precision. Mara raised her weapon, feeling both fear and resolve. They might destroy the outpost, but they would not break the human spirit. Her radio crackled. A familiar voice, faint but clear, came through the chaos. "Lieutenant Hayes. Earth has received your signal. Help is on the way." Mara allowed herself a moment to breathe. Relief washed over her, but it was short-lived. The Xylars were already advancing, and the fight for survival had just begun. The stars above seemed endless, but Mara felt a fire inside her, one that no alien force could extinguish. Somewhere in the darkness of space, a human determination was waking, and the Xylars would soon learn that underestimating humanity was a deadly mistake. Earth's orbit was calm. From space, it looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, quiet cities. But inside the control centers and military headquarters, tension ran high. The warning from Outpost Orpheus had reached Earth, and the message was clear. The Xylars had attacked a human outpost, and survivors were few. Admiral Kiran Patel stood in the command room, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Orpheus system. Red dots marked the alien ships, moving like a shadow over the human settlement. "They struck fast, precise, and without mercy," he said, his voice steady but heavy. "We must respond. This is not just an attack, it is a declaration of war." In the control room, scientists and strategists argued over the best course of action. Some urged caution, worried about escalating the conflict. Others demanded immediate retaliation. Humanity had never faced a threat like the Xylars before. They were strong, advanced, and ruthless. Yet, Earth had something else: human intelligence, creativity, and determination. Dr. Lena Sato, a lead scientist in advanced weaponry, stepped forward. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice was confident. "We can fight them. Not with brute force alone, but with strategy. We have the technology to level the playing field. The humans on Orpheus may have delayed them, but we can finish the job before they reach more outposts." Admiral Patel nodded. "Prepare the fleet. Ready all stealth ships and strike teams. This will not be a blind attack. We strike smart. We strike with precision." Meanwhile, in the aftermath of the attack, Lieutenant Mara Hayes and the survivors struggled to hold the outpost. Fires burned in the corridors, and emergency lights flickered. Mara looked at her team, tired, scared, but alive. Her radio crackled again. "Lieutenant Hayes," said a calm, firm voice from Earth. "We received your signal. Reinforcements are on their way. Hold your position." Mara felt a spark of hope. For the first time in hours, she allowed herself to breathe. But the Xylars were not waiting. Their landing troops scouted the perimeter, scanning for any humans who remained. Mara and her team set up traps and defensive positions, preparing for the inevitable confrontation. Every shadow could hide an enemy. Every sound could mean death. Back on Earth, preparations were in full swing. Engineers worked day and night to ready the fleet. Ships were equipped with experimental weapons, faster engines, and stealth shields. Pilots trained in simulated battlefields, learning to anticipate the Xylars' movements. Humanity was small compared to the alien threat, but humans were clever. They studied patterns, calculated probabilities, and found weaknesses in the Xylar ships' designs. The tension in Earth's command centers was palpable. Every officer, every scientist, knew the stakes. Failure could mean the destruction of other human outposts, or worse, the loss of Earth itself. Yet, there was determination in the air, a quiet but powerful resolve. Humans had survived disasters before, and they would survive this. On the outskirts of the fleet, Commander Elias Ward checked his crew one last time. His eyes met those of his first officer, a young pilot named Rena Chen. "Remember," he said, "the Xylars may be stronger in tech, but we are stronger in mind and spirit. Stick to the plan. Trust each other. Humanity does not give up." Rena nodded, her hands tightening on the controls. The human fleet activated stealth mode, disappearing like ghosts among the stars. Their destination, the heart of the Xylar threat, the homeworld from which the attack originated. Meanwhile, Mara and her team continued to defend the outpost. Each passing hour was a struggle. Energy beams tore through walls, and alien footsteps echoed in the distance. Mara set a trap using a small power surge from the remaining generators. When the first Xylar scout approached, it was caught in an electric net, immobilized. Mara's heart raced. Victory was small, but it was a reminder that humans could fight back. As night fell on Orpheus, the stars above seemed colder, darker. But humans were not defeated. Mara looked at the sky and whispered, "Earth will come, and when it does, they will see what humans are capable of." Back on Earth, Admiral Patel's fleet approached jump coordinates. The massive ships blinked out of normal space, entering the faster-than-light lanes toward the Xylar home system. The humans were heading into the unknown, into danger, but with purpose. Every mind aboard the fleet was focused, every hand steady. The Xylars had made a mistake. They had awakened something they could not yet understand. In the silent darkness between stars, the humans prepared for war. They were fewer, but they were clever. They were small, but they were united. And they had something the Xylars had never faced before, the courage and ingenuity of the human spirit. Somewhere, deep in the void, the first scouts of the Xylar noticed the approaching fleet. They sent signals to their homeworld, alarms blaring. But it was too late. The humans were coming. And when they arrived, the Xylars would learn that underestimating humanity was a dangerous mistake. Mara sat on the scorched floor of the outpost, holding the radio close. Her hands were bruised and burned, her uniform torn. Yet her eyes burned with determination. "Earth will come," she whispered again, louder this time. "And we will survive. We always survive." The human fleet moved silently through the void, cloaked in stealth fields that shimmered faintly like heat haze. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the lead ship, eyes fixed on the holographic display of the Xylar system. Every dot of light represented a possible threat, every shadow a potential trap. He knew the Xylars would not wait passively. They were clever, ruthless, and unpredictable. "Distance to Xylar homeworld, 2 million kilometers," the navigator reported. The tension on the bridge was palpable. Every crew member knew the risks. One wrong move, and the fleet could be destroyed before they even reached the planet. Ward clenched his jaw. "Stealth mode remains active. Sensors on high alert. Keep to the plan. We strike fast, precise, and coordinated." Below, in the hangar bays, pilots checked their ships one last time. Rena Chen ran her fingers over the controls, feeling the hum of the engines and the weight of the weapons systems. She glanced at the other pilots, young and experienced alike, and nodded. "We do this together," she whispered. They were humans, far smaller in number and firepower than the Xylars, but they had something no alien could predict: creativity, courage, and unity. Meanwhile, Mara Hayes and the remaining survivors on Orpheus continued to hold their outpost. Fires burned in corridors, and the air was thick with smoke and dust. Every sound made her flinch: footsteps, distant alarms, the hum of alien ships outside. But she refused to panic. Using the emergency beacons, she relayed their position and status to Earth, giving the fleet valuable intelligence about the Xylar patrol patterns. Back in the human fleet, scientists monitored the Xylar system, analyzing every signal. Dr. Lena Sato's fingers flew over her console. "They are aggressive, but predictable in some ways. Their fighters patrol in straight patterns. Their shields are strong, but their coordination can be disrupted." Admiral Patel nodded. "Good. Prepare the tactical simulations. Our fleet will split into 3 groups. 1 to engage, 1 to distract, and 1 to hit their critical defenses. We hit their homeworld, but we do it with precision. No unnecessary risks. No wasted lives." The human ships moved into formation, ghost-like shadows among the stars. Suddenly, Xylar scouts appeared on the edge of their sensors, sleek ships gliding with silent menace. Ward's eyes narrowed. "They've detected us." "Not fully," the tactical officer said. Their scanners pick up faint energy readings. They think it's a small reconnaissance fleet. Ward smiled grimly. Then let them think small. The first clash began quietly. Human stealth fighters darted from the shadows, hitting lightly armored Xylar patrols with precision strikes. Explosions bloomed in the blackness of space, fiery flowers against the cold stars. The Xylars reacted quickly, but their overconfidence worked against them. The humans used every trick: decoy drones, electronic interference, and sudden ambushes. Commander Ward watched the engagement from the bridge, directing his forces like a chess master. Every maneuver counted, every decision could mean life or death. One human fighter, piloted by Rena, wove through enemy fire with impossible agility, destroying 2 alien scouts before slipping back into the darkness. Impressive, Ward murmured. Human ingenuity at work. But the Xylars were not defeated. Their main fleet remained in orbit around their planet, powerful and ready. Sensors indicated heavily armed cruisers moving into attack positions. "We need to act now," Dr. Sato warned. "If they regroup, it will be much harder." Ward nodded. Phase 2. Prepare the orbital strike. The human fleet split, as planned. Small strike teams aimed for key Xylar satellites and defense stations, while the main fleet held back, ready to respond to any counterattack. Mara's beacon from Orpheus had given them precise coordinates. Humans were small and clever, using information to outmaneuver a larger force. Suddenly, the Xylars launched a surprise volley of energy beams. Explosions rocked the human ships, and alarms screamed. Pilots fought to regain control, shielding systems flaring. Ward barked orders, his voice calm and commanding. "Adjust shields. Fire back at critical targets. Focus on the satellites." Rena felt her heart pound as her fighter shook under the hits. She aimed at a satellite and fired, hitting the weak point Dr. Sato had identified. The explosion rippled outward, taking down several nearby defense nodes. The Xylars were momentarily stunned, giving the humans an advantage. Below, Mara watched the sky through the remaining observation windows of the outpost. Beams from the human fleet struck the enemy ships with precision. She felt a surge of hope. Humans were small, yes, but clever. Determined. Dangerous when pushed. "Hold the line," she whispered to her team. "They're coming for you." The battle in space raged on, a deadly dance of light and fire. Humans used every ounce of intelligence, bravery, and teamwork they had. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but never outsmarted. Every maneuver, every strike, every calculated risk brought them closer to the Xylar homeworld, and closer to turning the tide. Commander Ward looked at the holographic display of the planet below. "Soon," he said quietly, "they will see what humanity is capable of. We fight with our minds, our courage, and we will not fail." In the shadows of the stars, the human fleet pressed forward. The Xylars were powerful, yes, but humans were relentless. And soon, the galaxy would witness the ingenuity and courage of a species that refused to be conquered. The human fleet had reached the outer orbital defenses of the Xylar homeworld. The stars above shone cold and distant, but below, a massive alien civilization waited. Towering orbital platforms bristled with weapons, energy shields glowed bright, and Xylar ships patrolled in precise, deadly formations. Commander Ward surveyed the holographic map, his jaw tight. Every detail mattered. One misstep could destroy the fleet. "Status report," he said. "Shields at optimal strength. Strike teams in position." "Enemy patrols active," replied the tactical officer. "They've increased vigilance. They expect us." Ward's lips curved into a faint smile. "Good. Let them expect. We will give them something else." Rena Chen tightened her grip on the controls of her fighter. She felt the tension in the cockpit, every nerve alert. Beside her, other pilots prepared, their faces pale but determined. "We're small," she thought, "but we know what to do. We survive by thinking faster than they do." Below, the Xylar command centers lit up as alarms blared. Their sensors had detected intruders. But the humans had studied their patterns. Every patrol path, every response routine, had been analyzed. The fleet split as planned. Small groups of stealth ships aimed for critical platforms, while larger units created diversions. The first strike team moved silently, using asteroid shadows as cover. Mara Hayes watched from Orpheus, her eyes glued to the scope of the fleet. Her heart raced. "Come on, humans," she whispered. "Show them what we can do." Suddenly, the calm shattered. Energy beams tore across space, striking human fighters. One ship erupted in flames, spinning helplessly. The Xylars had anticipated the attack better than predicted. Commander Ward's voice was calm but firm over the comms. "Adjust formation. Focus on weak points. Do not panic." Rena weaved through incoming fire, firing precise shots at the exposed nodes of an orbital cannon. The platform shuddered as sparks flew from the impact points. Explosions rippled outward, forcing the Xylars to divert power to shield repairs. Small victories, but they counted. On the main fleet bridge, tactical officers coordinated every movement. Decoy drones simulated fleet positions, drawing Xylar fire. Stealth ships slipped behind enemy lines, striking undefended stations. Every calculated maneuver weakened the aliens, proving that brains could overcome sheer firepower. Yet the Xylars were relentless. Their cruisers advanced, firing long-range energy volleys. The human fleet shook under the assault. One cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash, sending debris hurtling into nearby ships. Mara clenched her fists as she watched through the outpost monitors. Humans were holding, but the fight was dangerous, and every second counted. Commander Ward decided to escalate. Phase 2, Orbital Disruption. Target their power cores. We disable their weapons, then we strike the planet itself. The pilots reacted instantly. Rena's squadron swooped toward the power stations, dodging beams and flak. Each ship fired synchronized bursts, hitting critical conduits. Sparks and smoke erupted from Xylar platforms, shields flickering under the pressure. One by one, defenses weakened. Mara's beacon continued to relay real-time information from the outpost. The patterns, the timing, the patrol movements, all fed into the human fleet strategy. The humans were small, clever, and united. Every piece of intelligence counted, every action mattered. But then, a warning flashed across the main bridge. A massive Xylar dreadnought had entered the system. Its size was enormous, dwarfing the human ships. Its weapons glowed with destructive energy. Commander Ward's eyes narrowed. "This is it. Hold positions. We cannot retreat." The dreadnought unleashed a torrent of energy, forcing human fighters to dive and dodge with impossible precision. Rena felt the rush of adrenaline as her ship weaved through blasts, narrowly avoiding destruction. "We're outnumbered," she muttered, "but not outsmarted." Humans used ingenuity to survive. Stealth ships disabled secondary shields. Drones distracted heavy cannons. Coordinated maneuvers created openings, allowing strike teams to get close to the dreadnought's weak points. One precise shot hit a critical reactor node, sending sparks and alarms through the alien ship. Mara cheered quietly. "Yes. That's it. Keep pushing." The battle raged across space. Explosions illuminated the darkness, ships burned, and the Xylars struggled to regain control. But humans pressed on, clever, brave, and relentless. Every loss was painful, every victory hard-earned, but the fleet moved closer to its ultimate goal, the destruction of the Xylar defenses and the path to their homeworld. Commander Ward leaned over the tactical console, voice steady. "Humans survive because we think, because we plan, and because we fight together. We are small, but we are dangerous. Remember that." As night fell over the Xylar homeworld, the human fleet regrouped, battered but determined. They had struck the first major blow, but the real challenge awaited, the heart of the enemy civilization. Mara, watching from the outpost, whispered to herself, "We fight, and we will win. The Xylars will learn. Never underestimate humans." Above, the stars were silent witnesses to the battle. Below, humanity had proven one truth: intelligence, courage, and unity could challenge even the most advanced alien threat. The war was far from over, but the humans had taken the first step toward victory. The human fleet hovered near the edge of the Xylar homeworld's orbit. The battle had taken its toll. Ships were damaged, systems strained, and pilots exhausted. Yet, Commander Ward's eyes burned with determination. Every human on board knew the stakes: the survival of countless colonies, the future of humanity itself. Admiral Patel's voice echoed across the comms. "Prepare the weapon. This is what we built it for." The Xylars underestimate humans, and that will be their greatest mistake. Dr. Lena Sato, overseeing the weapon's activation, explained calmly, "It's a concentrated energy pulse, capable of destabilizing an entire planet's core. Precision targeting is crucial. One mistake, and we lose everything, or worse, destroy innocent colonies if miscalculated." Ward nodded. "We've calculated it. The Xylar's shields are strong, but not designed for this. Fire at maximum efficiency, and the planet's core is vulnerable." Meanwhile, Mara Hayes and the remaining defenders on Orpheus watched the battle unfold from their battered outpost. The alien attackers were relentless, but now they seemed uncertain, hesitant. The humans' movements in space were coordinated, clever, and unpredictable. Mara felt a surge of hope. Humanity wasn't just fighting to survive, they were fighting to end the threat once and for all. In orbit, the strike teams had finished disabling the Xylar satellites and orbital defenses. The main fleet regrouped near the planet's equator. The energy pulse weapon hummed, massive and glowing in the cold void. Rena Chen gripped her controls, feeling both fear and awe. The weapon was a gamble, a massive escalation, but it was humanity's best chance. "Targeting sequence locked," Dr. Sato confirmed. "Coordinates confirmed. Energy levels stable. Ready on your command, Admiral." Admiral Patel's voice was calm but resolute. "Fire." A brilliant wave of energy surged from the weapon, streaking toward the Xylar homeworld. It struck the planet with terrifying precision. The surface shuddered violently as the planet's crust cracked and molten rivers formed across continents. Cities, structures, and fleets on the surface trembled under the immense force. The Xylars screamed in panic. Their weapons, their ships, their defenses, it was all insufficient. They had never faced an enemy willing to think beyond brute force, willing to use intelligence, precision, and strategy to its fullest. Commander Ward watched the holographic displays. "Keep the fleet in position. Monitor for retaliation. This is not over until the planet is neutralized." Below, Mara observed the devastation. She felt a strange mix of sorrow and triumph. The humans were powerful, clever, and decisive, but the cost of victory weighed heavily on her. She whispered to herself, "We did what we had to, we survived, and now we end this threat." The planet's surface began to collapse in a series of controlled chain reactions. Energy from the pulse destabilized tectonic plates and power grids. The Xylar's command centers erupted in flames, communication networks shattered, and their fleet was thrown into chaos. The alien civilization that had attacked Outpost Orpheus was now crumbling before human ingenuity. Admiral Patel spoke again, calm and measured. "Damage assessments indicate near total neutralization. Minor resistance may remain, but their homeworld is effectively incapacitated. Humanity has struck, not just for survival, but as a warning to any who dare threaten us." Even as the Xylars struggled, some attempts at counterattack were feeble. Human pilots outmaneuvered them easily, using superior tactics rather than sheer firepower. Rena smiled grimly, dodging another blast. "Brains beat brawn," she muttered. Back on Orpheus, Mara allowed herself a moment of relief. The surviving humans cheered quietly, but she knew it was only the beginning. Humanity had proven it could fight and win against a far stronger enemy. She looked at the stars and whispered, "They will never forget us. And neither will we." Commander Ward's fleet remained in orbit to ensure no hidden Xylar forces could regroup. The humans had won decisively, but they also knew the galaxy was watching. Earth's actions would send a message across the stars: underestimate humanity at your own peril. As the Xylar homeworld began to collapse, fragments of cities, ships, and alien structures fell into molten chasms. It was a spectacle of both terror and awe, a display of power no alien had imagined a human civilization could possess. Humanity had faced annihilation and responded with precision, intelligence, and courage. Admiral Patel's voice resonated across the comms, calm and unwavering. We have made our mark. Let the galaxy know, humanity does not beg, does not yield, and will not be underestimated. Mara, watching the devastation unfold from a distant outpost, felt a chill run down her spine. The Xylars were gone, but the consequences of such power were immense. Still, one thing was clear: humans had risen to a level that no enemy could ignore. The stars above seemed silent witnesses to humanity's triumph. Across space, the surviving Xylar ships retreated in defeat, fleeing the orbit of their dying world. Humanity had survived. Humanity had struck back. Humanity had won. And somewhere, beyond the dark reaches of space, other species would begin to take notice. The humans were clever, cunning, and unstoppable when cornered. The HFY story was only beginning. The stars were quiet now. The Xylar homeworld was no more, reduced to molten ruins and drifting fragments. Yet in the silence of space, the human fleet moved cautiously, scanning for any remaining threats. Commander Ward stood on the bridge of his flagship, eyes tired but alert. Victory had come at a price. Report, he said, voice steady. Fleet integrity at 78%, the tactical officer replied. Several ships damaged beyond repair. Casualties reported: 167 crew members lost. Minimal survivors among outpost reinforcements. Ward's jaw tightened. Every loss weighed heavily. Humanity had won, yes, but no victory was without cost. Mara Hayes, still on the battered outpost of Orpheus, heard the comms update through her portable receiver. She clenched her fists, remembering the faces of the friends who had fallen. Some had been caught in explosions, others had been overtaken by alien attackers. Survival had been miraculous, but grief was unavoidable. Sir, the communications officer interrupted, we are receiving messages from neighboring systems. Colonies and settlements that monitored the Xylars are reporting the destruction. Some fear retaliation, others express relief. Ward nodded. Let them see it clearly. Humanity acts decisively when threatened, but we do not strike without reason. Prepare broadcasts to all nearby systems. Show them what humans are capable of. Below, Mara helped organize survivors. Fires still smoldered in the outpost. Systems were failing, but she prioritized communications and medical aid. Every person she helped, every signal sent back to Earth, reminded her why they had survived. Humans had faced an impossible enemy and had emerged victorious. That fact alone carried weight across the galaxy. In the command center of Earth, Admiral Patel observed the aftermath through live feeds. He felt a mixture of pride and sorrow. The humans had demonstrated courage, intelligence, and decisiveness. The HFY truth was undeniable. Humanity, though seemingly small and fragile, could match and even surpass any advanced alien force when united and determined. Prepare diplomatic signals, Patel said. We must show the galaxy that we can protect ourselves. Let this victory be a warning: humanity will not be underestimated. But also, show restraint. We are powerful, but we are measured. Mara continued to coordinate repairs and survivor efforts. She looked at the night sky above Orpheus, the stars unchanged but somehow brighter after the battle. Humanity had proven something vital. Even in the darkest moments, their ingenuity, courage, and will could overcome any threat. But even in victory, tension remained. Unknown observers might have watched the conflict, hidden in distant space. Mara shivered slightly. The Xylars were gone, but the galaxy was vast, and other civilizations might take note of humanity's sudden and overwhelming power. Commander Ward held a briefing with his fleet. We have won this battle, he said. But our actions have been seen. We must prepare for the consequences. We are no longer just another species among the stars. We are humans, clever, resourceful, and dangerous when pushed. Let this be clear to anyone who might doubt us. Rena Chen, sitting in the pilot lounge, looked at her crewmates. They had fought bravely, survived near impossible odds, and contributed to humanity's triumph. Yet the losses were heavy, and every victory carried the memory of those who would never see Earth again. She whispered quietly to herself, "We are humans. We survive. And we will rise from every defeat." Across the galaxy, news of the Xylar destruction spread. Nearby colonies began sending messages of support and acknowledgement. Humans were no longer just another spacefaring species. They were a force to respect, a civilization capable of both mercy and devastating retaliation. Mara received a message from Earth. Admiral Patel's voice came through, calm but firm. "Lieutenant Hayes, you and your team have proven extraordinary courage. Humanity owes you and all survivors a debt. We will rebuild Orpheus and ensure it stands stronger than ever. Remember this, humanity survives, not through weapons alone, but through courage, unity, and intelligence." Mara felt tears prick her eyes. She had survived, yes, but more importantly, she had witnessed humanity's strength firsthand. The HFY truth was no longer theoretical, it was written across the stars in fire and courage. As the fleet began its journey back to Earth, Mara gazed at the fragments of the Xylar homeworld drifting silently. The humans had acted decisively, but they also knew the galaxy was watching. Somewhere, other species would take note, calculating their next moves. In the quiet moments, Mara whispered once more, "We are humans. We fight, we survive, and we rise. No one will forget that." The stars above Orpheus were peaceful again, but humanity's presence in the galaxy had changed forever. The story of courage, intelligence, and determination had been written, and the echoes would reach far beyond the broken Xylar world. The human fleet returned to Earth, battle-worn but victorious. Ships bore scars of fire and impact, but every pilot and crew member carried the same unshakable pride. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking toward the blue and green jewel of a planet. Humanity had survived the impossible, and now the galaxy would know it. Back on Orpheus, Lieutenant Mara Hayes helped rebuild the outpost. The ruins were vast, walls shattered, and corridors twisted. Yet the humans worked tirelessly, erecting new structures, restoring power, and helping the survivors recover. Each repaired panel and repaired communication line was a testament to human resilience. Mara smiled faintly as she watched a young technician reconnect a generator. Humanity never gave up, no matter the odds. On Earth, Admiral Patel addressed the Global Council and representatives of nearby colonies via holo communication. "The Xylar threat has been neutralized," he said. "Humanity acted with precision, intelligence, and courage. We have defended ourselves and sent a clear message. Humans are not weak, humans are clever, and humans will survive. Let this be a warning to anyone who doubts us." Across distant systems, the humans' actions inspired awe. Allies and even neutral civilizations began to see Earth not as a small planet struggling to survive, but as a force to respect. Signals of congratulations and cautious greetings reached Earth, acknowledging humanity's power and ingenuity. The HFY truth was undeniable. Humans could survive, think, and fight in ways no other species could predict. Mara stood at a high observation deck on Orpheus, looking at the stars. She thought about the battles, the lives lost, and the courage shown. Humanity had won, but the galaxy was vast, and unknown eyes might have observed the conflict. Mara shivered slightly. The Xylars were gone, but they were only the beginning. Other civilizations, some peaceful, others dangerous, might soon realize that humans were not to be underestimated. Commander Ward gathered his fleet for a debriefing. "We have won a decisive battle," he said. "But our vigilance cannot waver. The galaxy is watching. Humans have proven they are clever, adaptable, and dangerous when pushed. We must continue to learn, strengthen, and prepare for what comes next." Rena Chen, sitting quietly in her fighter bay, reflected on the journey. They had survived against an enemy far stronger in firepower, yet humans had triumphed because they used intelligence, strategy, and unity. She whispered to herself, "We are humans. We fight. We survive. And we rise stronger every time." The rebuilding on Orpheus continued. Survivors worked together, their spirits lifted by the knowledge that Earth and the fleet had their backs. They knew that humanity's strength was not in weapons alone, but in courage, ingenuity, and the bonds that united them. Even in a galaxy filled with powerful enemies, humans had something no alien could take away: their determination. As the fleets returned to orbit and communications with Earth became routine again, scientists began analyzing the fragments of the Xylar world. Patterns emerged, clues about the alien civilization, their technologies, and even unknown observers who might have been watching. Humanity's rise had been noticed. Somewhere, other species had recorded the humans' ingenuity, marking Earth as a civilization to respect, or fear. Mara looked up at the stars once more. The memory of explosions, panic, and courage still lingered in her mind. But beneath it all was hope. Humanity had faced annihilation and emerged stronger. They had proven that even a small, seemingly fragile species could challenge the galaxy's most dangerous threats, and win. Commander Ward walked beside Mara on the rebuilt observation deck. "You've seen it firsthand," he said quietly. "Humans can survive anything. And when we fight together, nothing can stop us. That is what the galaxy must learn." Mara nodded, her eyes fixed on the distant stars. "Yes," she said. "We will rise. We will protect what is ours. And we will always remember those who gave their lives. Humanity will not be forgotten." In the silence of space, the remnants of the Xylar civilization drifted, a warning of the consequences of underestimating humans. Across the galaxy, signals began to reach distant civilizations, whispers of a species that fought with intelligence, courage, and heart. Humanity's story was spreading, and the universe was taking note. As Mara and the survivors stood together, the stars above seemed brighter, filled with possibilities. Humanity had survived, had risen, and had proven itself. The Xylars were gone, but the galaxy held countless mysteries, and humanity would face them with the same courage and ingenuity that had brought them victory. The final thought lingered in Mara's mind as she gazed into the vast expanse of space. Humans were not the weakest, not the smallest, not the fragile. Humans were survivors, thinkers, and fighters. Humans were unstoppable when united. The galaxy had learned a lesson: never underestimate humanity. And somewhere in the dark reaches of the stars, other civilizations watched, waiting, calculating, and wondering. Humanity's rise had begun.